welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Dr. Ruehl Show. I'm your host, Dr. Franklin Ruehl, and today we feature the 1973 horror flick, The Werewolf of Washington, starring Dean Stockwell and Biff McGuire. Now, I should mention that my all-time favorite werewolf film is 1941's The Wolfman, starring Lon Chaney Jr. And that leads to our trivia question. Let me extricate here from this paper prison. The question: what was Lon Chaney Jr.'s real first name? For a long time he resisted trying to exploit his father's name and was using his own name. Now, what's that? And this is in inverse alphabetical order: Crowley, Crispin, Creighton, or Crandall. Now the only prize for the correct answer, one pat on the back that you'll have to administer to yourself. Heck of a lot better than a slap on the belly with a wet trowel. Now, with film footage presented by Benny Guzland. Roll tape.
Mrs. Captree, any funds ready?
Oh, I'm just having nothing more for the road. You know, anytime you have people marching in the streets, you're just catering to a revolution. You know what my husband says? Well, my husband said many times that he actually prefers some of the Russian communists against the liberal colonists in this country. What's the matter with my hand?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, my goodness, my land, Jack. You're just some terrible fool, aren't you?
Marion and I are leaving. I thought I'd come over and say good evening to you. Huh? Oh, yeah. Come on, why don't you come in and talk to me sometime, Jack? We'll have a talk. All right, sure.
Now, where were we? Where were we? We were saying something about the...
My God. What's this country coming to? Mrs. Captree was just found dead. Guts ripped open.
Have you been? I guess I asked that last night.
Yeah, I guess you did. Gee, I haven't been in the White House in a long time.
Well, not everyone gets to see all of the White House, Jack.
I'm supposed to meet with your father.
It's really awful about Mrs. Crabtree, isn't it? And those shoes they found, that's weird.
Shoes? But, Marion, the president's waiting for me. I better not keep him.
Hasn't Judge Crabtree asked that his nomination be withdrawn because of this horrible tragedy?
Well, I've asked him not to make that request. Frankly, I don't want his name withdrawn. The current permissive trends continue in this country. I'm worried about national anarchy. Andrea, you and I, we don't see eye to eye about most things. Never asked for your support, and I've never received it. But if your paper could change its position, it would swing the nomination for him.
I'll think about it, Mr. President.
Good. I'm sorry to have kept you here so late. Oh, by the way, I've asked the FCC to act as quickly as possible upon that application, no matter what position you take. After all, I do owe you a favor. If you hadn't banished Jack here to Budapest, well, I wouldn't have a new assistant press secretary. Good evening, darling.
Mr. President, we didn't banish Jack. I begged him to stay here, didn't I, Jack? He requested the transfer for personal reasons, and he's welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you.
Jack?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to go, Mr. President. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll leave with Jack.
No, I'll stay here with you, Mr. President.
Well, I'll think it over, Mr. President. I may surprise you.
Well, thank you, Andrea.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Jack. Good night.
Good night. Jack! Jack! Jack, I think I could be your friend, Jack. If you could just accept that. I'd like to be. You don't look well, Jack. Jack!
Don't wait for me there, Marion. Wait for me in your room. Go away now!
Jack! Jack!
Welcome back, and I have to say, well, that wasn't the worst werewolf movie ever made. It certainly was not the best. So on the Ruehl scale, we're first magnitude's best, 10th magnitude worst. The Werewolf of Washington from 1973 garners a so-so 7th magnitude rating. Now for that trivia question. Again, what was Lon Chaney Jr.'s real given name? Crowley, Crispin, Creighton, or Crandall. And you say Crandall? No, it was Creighton, yes. Now, there are many ways. By the way, I should mention that there's the Spanish actor Paul Naschy, Naschy, who saw Lon Chaney's second film as a werewolf, that is, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman in 1943. And he became so enamored of the entity that he changed his name to Paul Naschy, a Middle European pseudonym, and starred ultimately in 13 films as a werewolf, and did an excellent job. Actually, he died in November of 2009 at age 75, and we do miss him. Now, there are many ways, as I say, to become a werewolf. Of course, the most likely, being bitten by a lycanthrope. Another way is through a curse being implemented against you. Then there's the possibility of genetic engineering, where some mad scientist might inject werewolf or wolf genes into you, turning you into a wolf. And then there's a less known way, drinking from a stream that a wolf had just been drinking from. How about that? Now, how do you kill a werewolf? Well, you can dispatch him with a silver bullet into his heart, or hit him with a silver implement, such as we saw in that 1941 version of The Wolfman, where Claude Rains, playing Lon Chaney Jr.'s father, beat him to death with a silver cane. Then there's an unusual way that was depicted on the TV series, actually the Gothic soap opera Dark Shadows, eating a moon poppy. Now, the moon poppy, unfortunately, blossoms just as the moon is full, just as at the same time the werewolf is turning into a wolf, so he no longer has any inclination to eat the moon poppy to cure himself, but an intriguing idea. Now, werewolves have been described throughout history. For example, in the Bible, in Daniel, chapter 4, verse 33, we have the case of King Nebuchadnezzar. Let me read it to you. The same hour was a thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird's claws. Yes, certainly sounds like he could have been a werewolf. Then, of course, we have, in Greek mythology, the case of King Laocoon of Arcadia, who dared feed human flesh to Zeus to test his divinity. Zeus did not like that, and transmogrified him into a wolf, giving us the term lycanthrope for a werewolf. And then we have the famous Greek historian in the 5th century BC, Herodotus, describing the people known as the Nari, who once a year were transformed into wolves. So werewolves have been with us for many centuries. One apparently was a murderer in the 1600s in France. Gilles Garnier killed at least 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys, and over 50 eyewitnesses saw him running on the ground with claws, fangs, and long hair like a wolf. And when captured, he did acknowledge being a werewolf. His punishment, on January 18th, 1673, he was buried alive. And then more recently, we have a case that was in the American Journal of Psychiatry about a Texas woman who apparently, when the moon was full, was seeing herself transformed into a wolf, where she would bay at the moon and rip at her furniture and attack other people. She was put in a psychiatric ward, apparently cured, but the next time after her release, when the moon was full, she again behaved like a wolf. As far as we know, she may still be doing that. And I think it's certainly within the realm of feasibility, considering the power of the human brain, that it could cause such manifestation. After all, we have individuals who have been diagnosed with incurable cancer making a comeback, and individuals exhibiting the stigmata. So the brain has a powerful effect on the body, could indeed generate the physiological manifestations of a wolf. So I think it's, again, within the realm of feasibility that werewolves might exist. Now, until next time, may the power of the cosmos be with you. Yes, yes.